Hello, Keith here, and welcome to the March 2023 update on our battery and solar installation. Now that we've gone into spring, this video will show the increased performance that we are now getting from our solar and battery installation as a result of the days getting longer and the sunlight getting stronger. And as a reminder, as we get asked quite often in the comments what we have installed, this is our installation. So we have 16 Trina 385 watt solar panels. 9 of those panels are on the west facing roof, and the remaining 7 panels are on the east facing roof, with a total installed solar capacity of 6.16 kilowatts. We also have 5 pylon batteries with a total storage capacity of 12 kilowatts and a Solis 5G inverter. I've also had some questions around our peak generation, so I've gone back and looked at the Solis Cloud dashboard, and I've pulled the maximum peaks for each day since the system was commissioned. I'll probably do a separate video on this, but as a snapshot, this is the data for January 2023, where we had a peak of 2.3 kilowatt hours. And looking at the same statistics for February, we actually had a peak of 3.7 kilowatt hours. And for this month's data, I'll show that when we get to the review of March's performance. So as we run through the representation of the solar day over the course of the year for our location, let's take a look at the results for March 2023 and the savings that we've made and whether our timeline for breaking even on our costs is now back on target. Midway through the month on March 15th, based on the data from timeanddate.com, the sun is rising in the direction of the east at 11 minutes past 6 in the morning, and it sets in the west at 1 minute past 6 in the evening. And this is before our clocks went forward 1 hour on the 26th of March as we move to British summertime. There is a total of 11 hours and 50 minutes of daylight on this date. So the 15th of March has 1 hour and 49 minutes more daylight compared to the 15th of February, and because we're getting closer to spring, the length of the solar day is increasing. So at the middle of the day, the sun is 36 degrees above the horizon, which is 10 degrees higher than the same date in February. So weather-wise, we had the complete opposite of February, where we only saw 0.5 millimetre of rain. Our NetAtmo weather station measured 56 millimetres of rain for March, which is 171% of our local Met Office weather station's average March rainfall. However, we've also had some decent sunshine at times, and that is borne out by the amount of power that we've generated. And when we look at our solar generation, overall we averaged around 10 kilowatt hours per day, but we did manage 7 days where we generated over 15 kilowatt hours, and for the month in total we generated 312.9 kilowatt hours. Our worst day was the 8th of March, but we still generated 2.7 kilowatts that day, and our best days were both the 24th and the 27th of March, where on both days we generated 21 kilowatt hours. And if we go to the Solis Cloud dashboard and look at the 27th of March, despite there being many peaks due to cloud cover every now and then, we still generated enough to be running 76% of our electricity consumption either from the panels or from the batteries. So of the 21 kilowatt hours that were generated, we used 8.4 kilowatt hours and sent 11 kilowatt hours to the batteries. And we also exported 1.6 kilowatt hours back to the grid. And of the energy that we sent to the batteries, we used 8 kilowatt hours of that. And if we look at the new graph around peak generation in terms of kilowatt hours, we saw a maximum of 5 kilowatt hours at peak generation on the 19th of March, and we saw a minimum of 636 watts on the 9th of March. Typically on a daily basis, our peak generation was between 2 and 4 kilowatt hours, and for the month the average for peak generation was around 3.1 kilowatt hours. So if we then take a look at our electricity usage split between grid import, battery usage, solar usage and grid export, the 25th of March was also our best day in terms of the split between solar generated usage and grid import, with 80% of our energy usage being directly from the panels and the batteries. Our best export day was the 27th of March, where we exported 1.6 kilowatt hours back to the grid, and in total for the month we exported 10 kilowatt hours. And here is the split between solar generation usage in terms of panels and battery and grid import for the month. As mentioned on the previous view, the 25th of March was the best day in terms of the split between solar generated usage and grid import, with 80% of our energy being directly from the panels and 20% from grid import. For the month in total, 48% of our electricity usage was from the solar panels and batteries, and 52% was imported from the grid. But on 6 days within the month, we actually achieved 70% or more of our electricity usage being supplied either from the panels or the batteries. And we have another new view here, as I wanted to show you how our import cost per day looks. So the blue is our standing charge at 37 pence per day in March. This actually went up to 42 pence in April. And the orange is the grid import cost. So over the course of March, our average import cost was £4.05, and if you factor in the standing charge, that goes up to £4.42. So how did we do in March 23? As we saw, 48% of our electricity consumption in March was through solar generation, either directly from the panels or from the battery. We generated 312 kilowatt hours of electricity in total, and of that we used 169 kilowatt hours, exported 10 kilowatt hours, and we sent 134 kilowatt hours to the battery. Our total grid import cost for January was £137.17, and that was for 358 kilowatt hours. But our total cost, if we hadn't had solar and battery in place, would have been an additional £116.68, which would have been a total of £253.85 for the month if we didn't have solar and batteries in place. We were also paid £1.12 for our energy export, and that was up to the 27th of March. So overall, we're back to the level of savings that we saw back in October last year. We've generated over 80 kilowatt hours more than we did in February, and we've sent an additional 45 kilowatt hours to our batteries compared to last month. We've also saved £22 more than we did last month, and we've also seen an increase of 8% on our solar utilisation. So overall, this means that our timeline for our return on investment is starting to reduce as we get into the spring months. So that was our March overview. Next month, it's going to be quite interesting as the stats so far show. We've just come back from a short family holiday, so we had 5 days of next to no grid import and a fair bit of export. But as I'm recording this today, we have had 3 straight days of minimal grid import whilst we've been at home. So as always, let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you'd like to see. And if you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.